Bruce Lee once said something like, only 1 in 10,000 will get my JKD. Something like that. Now, depending on who you ask, that is either inspiration or it's a barrier. So I have a question. What about the other 9,999? Are they just out of luck until they hit enlightenment? Or is there another way, another path where progress and effectiveness can coexist? Hello, everyone. This is Dwight Woods, the Jeet Kune Rebel. Welcome to the I Love Jeet Kune broadcast number 370. This is the one about what do you do? What do you use until you're superhuman? The subtitle is The Case for Regressions, which I will explain in JKD. So, as you're logging in, if you'd be kind enough to say where you're logging in from, hit the like button and feel free to continue doing so throughout the broadcast. If you're catching the simulcast over on the YouTube, please be sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell as well. But of course, the best thing you can do is to share this video and spread the word about the I Love Jeet Kune broadcasts. Right. So that Bruce Lee quote, and I apologize for not getting it 100%. But whether it's 1 in 1,000 or 1 in 10,000, right? It's used by some people in the JKD world to distinguish JKD almost as an elitist art, which is not for everyone. And kind of like that, it's only for the 1 in 1,000 or the 1 in 10,000, whatever it is, right? It's only for the few who are willing to take a few techniques and train them until they're so refined that they almost transcend human limits. There's a famous YouTube video about 9 reasons why Bruce Lee was superhuman, right? Okay. So don't get me wrong. Don't get it twisted. I have no issue with people who are pushing themselves to be great. You should put in the work. JKD is not for the lazy, and JKD is certainly not for the casual. But what I don't buy into is the exclusivity mindset. This idea that unless you're one of the chosen few, then Jeet Kune Do just isn't for you. Hey, that's a rhyme, right? So let's talk about that quote. And again, I couldn't find the exact place where it was written, so that means I'm not really a good Jeet Kune Do student, right? So only 1 in 10,000 will get my JKD. It sounds dramatic, and it's true to a certain extent. But the way that some people use the quote, it's like they're setting up a wall instead of setting up a door. So again, what do the other 9,999 people do? What does the regular committed student who's not yet superhuman, what does that person use in the meantime? Because if you train JKD, but you're not yet at that like razor thin timing, you're not yet at that one hit straight lead intercepting kill shot. What are you supposed to do? Just not be effective until someday, maybe? That's the part that doesn't make sense to me. And I never hear people offering an alternative. So I'm going to offer something. Now, this takes me back a number of years. And if memory serves me correctly, when I started training in Scott Sonnen's TAC Fit, the term regression was used. And no, it didn't mean dumbing something down. It meant scaling something intelligently. It meant adjusting the intensity or the complexity without using the purpose. So if you couldn't do the push up at commando level, then you could regress to the grunt level or even the recruit level. So I got to thinking about this a few days ago, how this could apply to Jeet Kune Do. So I'm going to give you a simple example. Everybody loves simultaneous parry and hit to the point where they confuse it with the stop hit, right? Okay. because it appears to be an interception, but it isn't really. It's simultaneous parry and hit. And it's, you could call it one count, right? Boom. Efficient, devastating, but not everybody has that timing yet. Not everybody has that coordination, especially under pressure. The ability to use both arms, right, in conjunction at the same time and pull it off. So what do? So you regress it. You use what Bruce Lee called touch and go, right? Block and hit. It's two actions. It's just not simultaneous, but it can still get the job done. So that makes it a functional regression. So you're still in the game and you're still effective. And this can show up all over the place if you know where to look. So take the stupid focus mitts, as my good friend G. Anthony calls them, right? Before you can hit them in a freelance setting, you might have to set up some what I call some prearranged combinations before you can go to freelance. Before you can go to that aforementioned deadly one shot straight lead thing or whatever, you might do a 3 count hit before you try to put that one hit in. Before you can go to live freelance sparring, you drill with you do sparring drills with predictable feeds or even again prearrange something. And in my opinion, none of this is lesser. This is actually more honest because you're dealing with the fact that the student is not there yet, and it's progressive, my kind of progressive, because it is step by step. So it's recognizing that not everybody is up here on the 10th floor as yet. But just because you're not on the 10th floor, to use a building analogy, just because you're not on the 10th floor, it doesn't mean that you don't belong in the building at all. So think about this for a second. In the early days, right, the 1960s, the late 60s or whatever, did Bruce Lee want his students to wait until they were superhuman level before they could be effective? Or did he want them to be effective on their way to mastery? Because if JKD is about simplicity and directness and efficiency and personal expression and all that common stuff, then building building in like intelligent functional progressions and regressions, as I have explained it, to me, that is part of the process. So yes, you got to train hard. And this is by no means trying to make an excuse for not training hard. And yes, in JKD, you do refine a few techniques, let's call it, to the point where they feel like magic, right? But you don't ignore the steps that get you there. So, and you don't make the mistake of thinking that if you're not already on the 10th floor, that you don't belong. Jeet Kune is for anybody who is willing to do the work, but that's the prerequisite. You got to be willing to do the work. Richard Torres, I think, is the one I heard it from, or Bob Landers. Ted Wong said, if you want Bruce Lee results, you got to put in Bruce Lee type of work, right? Something like that. I'm not real good with the quotes unless they're on the wall behind me, right? So that so it requires knowing what to do if you're on day one. It requires knowing what you should be doing when you're at day 1,000. And then if you're like me, it requires knowing what you should be doing when you're at day 10,000. Right? Okay. So what say you? Let me know what you think about all this. If you understand the concept of regressions and if you have been using what I call regressions in your training, right? This elite only interpretation of JKD, do you think it's something that's helpful or is it something that is perhaps a little bit harmful, right? Let me know what you think in the comments below. That's all I got to say about this video. If you like what you heard, please comment, rate, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Follow me on Twitter at Dwight Woods and on Instagram at Dwight D. Woods. At paypal.me/unifiedma Miami, paypal.me/unifiedma Miami. The Jeet Kune Journey raw but edited version, volume 1 is available. paypal.me/unifiedma Miami. Also, head over to JKD Drills on Facebook and like and become a follower over there so that when it's up and running, you'll know exactly what's going on with that. Also, I'd like to call your attention to this GoFundMe project of my student Wayne down in Barbados. This is to help his wife's fight against her breast cancer. So if you would just make a note of that URL, that GoFundMe page, and make a contribution there, I would greatly appreciate it. Do I have? No, I don't have it. But you guys all know Sifu Nick Faruqi, and you know that he. Let me see if I can get a quick grab of it here. And you all know that he recently wrote the book. Well, this is the best I can do at this, right? Sifu Nick just wrote this book. The what do you call it? Mastering the martial art business, turning passion into profit. This is supposed to be an image of the Amazon thing where you could see, but you could go to Amazon. Nick is really, really good at this type of stuff. And so it is already a Kindle book. It is a print book. I think it's probably also an audio book right now. But anyhow, what I'm trying to tell you is that he'll be on the Jeet Kune Dialogues with me on Friday at the usual 6 p.m. So if you don't check out the book before then, come by on Friday and check it out with us. Right. And that is it for today. A purple day. There we go. Right. So I'll see you back Friday at 6 p.m. with Sifu Nick. If not, I'll see you next week for another issue of the I Love Jeet Kune Do broadcast. Until then, this is Dwight Woods, the Jeet Kune Do Rebel, signing off. You guys enjoy the rest of your day. Talk to you soon. Take care.